Welcome back to my relocation rebuild here on Madden 23 with the Oklahoma City Bison, and today we get to do one of my favorite things in these games, take on the entire offseason. Before we get into season stats though, I want to recap this season because I feel like this season was a major improvement over last year. Week 1 kind of sucked because we blew a lead. We could have started the season 3-0, but we started 2-1. I was still very happy with that start because last season we only won one game. But then we would go on a losing streak. We lost to the Packers 45-9, then we lost to the Vikings, got blown out by the Jets, and lost to the Jaguars. So we started 2-1, but very quickly became 2-5. We then got a big win over, at the time, the winless Dolphins on a last-second Hail Mary-like play from Greg Knox to Deshaun Slaughter, and then we came back and beat the Broncos. So we started 2-5, now we're 4-5, and I feel like we're a much better team. We lost a very close game to the Bills right before our bye week to fall to 4-6. Then we came back and beat the Colts by 1 point, and then we beat the Giants. Now at this point, we are 6-6 on the year. We have a legitimate shot to go to the playoffs. We need quarterback Greg Knox to step up, and in this game, we lost 44-3. In this game, he actually had a chance to go to a superstar depth chart and completely and totally shit the bed. Our offense looked miserable, and then we proceeded to lose the next 3 games as well, completely eliminating us from playoff contention, and then we managed to beat the Titans in the final game of the season to finish 7-10. We actually have a pretty big question to answer this offseason with quarterback Greg Knox. Do we continue rolling with him, or do we try to trade up? Right now we have pick number 7. We would need to go all the way to pick number 1 in order to land the best quarterback prospect in the class, Keyshawn Gaither. We will go over more with Gaither later. I do think quarterback Greg Knox improved a lot from his rookie season. In his rookie year, he threw 17 touchdowns to 22 interceptions, and we only won 1 game. This year, we won 7 games, and he threw 27 touchdowns to 21 interceptions. Still not great. He got better as a passer. He completed 60% of his passes as opposed to 56% of his passes, but it's still a pretty big question if we're going to keep him or not. In the last offseason, I signed Antonio Gibson at running back, and honestly, that turned out to be a pretty solid signing for us. He runs for over 1,000 yards and gets 14 touchdowns. I also brought in Nyheim Hines, but he's more of a backup running back and more of a receiving back if I'm being completely honest. Vince Sawyer lined up at fullback and ran in for a touchdown, and Deshaun Slaughter at one point this season, one of our best receivers, ran in for a touchdown. I don't remember seeing that happen, so I'm assuming that was in one of the games that we simulated. Compared to the rest of his career though in Washington, this was Gibson's best season. He ran for the most yards in his career and the most touchdowns, and the second most yards per carry. His rookie year he had 4.7 in Washington, this year he had 4.1. Receiving, our best receiver honestly ended up being Jamarcus Tompkins, 83 catches, over 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. Deshaun Slaughter had 950 yards on 70 receptions and 9 touchdowns. George Carson, our rookie tight end, he didn't find the end zone a whole lot, but he was very reliable for Greg Knox, getting 799 yards on 76 receptions. Darius Slayton's a receiver I signed during the last offseason. He comes in, gets 46 catches, 659 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He did miss a handful of games due to injury, though. A fan favorite wide receiver in Coco Johnson gets 31 catches for 400 yards and a touchdown. Nyheim Hines ended up with 37 receptions, 259 yards and a score. Antonio Gibson caught 3 touchdowns, Ian Thomas got a touchdown, Lionel Shelby got a touchdown, and Vince Sawyer caught 1 pass for a 1-yard touchdown. Wide receiver Jamarcus Tompkins was an undrafted free agent. He has been really good for us in these 2 seasons that we've had so far. Obviously put up a little bit better numbers this year. I moved him into the slot. He was no longer the wide receiver 2, and he did a lot better there. Deshaun Slaughter actually ended up with more receptions this season but less yards, but did get more touchdowns. So, it's an improvement in some places. I would have liked him to cross 1,000 yards again, but I'm not going to hold too much against him because he was the wide receiver 2 a lot of the year. Obviously, when Darius Slayton got injured, he became the wide receiver 1, but still a pretty solid weapon. The last receiver we're going to look at here is wide receiver Coco Johnson. He obviously took a step back this season because I brought in Darius Slayton. He moved down to wide receiver 4, but when he came in, he made the most of his opportunities this year. Now jumping over to defense, Trent Woodard led the team in tackles with 150. Second place is rookie outside linebacker Daryl Nix, so obviously he had a pretty solid rookie year. In sacks, that goes to Kevin Donald with 21.5. We will see if he ended up leading the league in sacks, but he has been by far our best draft pick we have had in this entire series. And interceptions, Daryl Nix got 4, and Miles Bryant also got 4 to lead the team. Ryan Neal ended up with 3, Trent Woodard got 2, Thomas Ross got 2, Michael Davis got 1, Felix McGee got 1, and Sidney Jones got 1. The first defensive player we're going to look at comparing to last season is middle linebacker Trent Woodard. He got a little less tackles this year, but I think he was really the only one on defense that could tackle last season, so I'm not going to be too upset with it. He got 1 less interception, but I think the defense overall was a lot better. Defensive back Thomas Ross ended up not getting an interception his entire rookie season, but got his first 2 this season, so I think he improved quite a bit as well. The final player I'm going to look at here is defensive end Kevin Donald. I guess he was also a player last season that got a lot of tackles. Didn't have to do that as much this year, but ended up getting 7.5 more sacks. I want to circle back around to quarterback Greg Knox here. I want to look and see how he did on a per game basis. He started the season pretty strong by throwing, 7 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. That's not a bad start for him. But then he had 3 games in a row where he did not throw a single touchdown. And against the Jets, he threw 4 picks, and I believe just the first half. It was absolutely abysmal. He then finally threw a touchdown against the Jaguars, threw 4 against the Dolphins, including the game winner. And then against the Broncos, 2 touchdowns to 1 pick, and a loss to the Bills, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The Colts, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. The Giants, he threw 3 touchdowns, then 0 against the Bears in a game that we really needed to win. And then from there on out, he threw 2 touchdowns against the Colts in a close loss, but still only 139 yards. 2 touchdowns and a loss to the Jaguars, no touchdowns and a loss to the Patriots. And that game was really ugly. That ended up going into overtime, and we really could not do anything. And then in the final game against the Titans, he threw 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. If I'm being completely honest, right now I am really considering trading away Greg Knox. I think that is going to be what we do, but I want to wait a little bit into the offseason. I want to recruit Keyshawn Gaither a little bit more and make sure he's not going to be a bust of a prospect. Our kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, goes 27 for 29. He was apparently perfect going into the final game of the season, where for whatever reason we decided to trot him on for 2 very long field goals. You can see week 18 against the Titans, he went 2 for 4. Now we can look at stats around the rest of the league. We had 6 quarterbacks go for over 5,000 yards this season. Leading them is second-year quarterback Greg Giles out of Georgia Tech. He's in Tampa Bay. Their playbook is incredibly broken whenever you have a really solid team around you. And really, I don't even think you need a really solid team around you. They tend to put up ridiculous numbers anyway, but 5,700 yards. And then Jimmy Garoppolo in Miami throws for 5,400. Dak Prescott throws for 51. AJ Hillman, a rookie quarterback in Denver, throws for 51. Joe Burrow throws for 51. And Josh Allen also throws for 51. What about touchdowns? Who led that? That is going to be Patrick Mahomes with 46. AJ Hillman got second, and leading the league in picks is going to be Mac Jones. I'm really surprised it's not Greg Knox. Had I not benched him against the Jets, he probably would have led the league in interceptions. We are still in the top 5 for getting sacked the most, but at least that number got a little bit better. Jameis Winston led the league with 52, Garoppolo got sacked 50 times, Derek Carr got sacked 49, and then we have Greg Knox and Kenny Pickett both getting sacked 46 times. Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing attempts with 361. Yards goes to Josh Jacobs with 1,700. Derrick Henry got second there. And in touchdowns, that goes to Saquon Barkley with 23. Josh Jacobs got 22. AJ Dillon as a Cardinal got 18. And Kenneth Walker and Najee Harris both got 17. Who led the league in fumbles? Please don't be. It is quarterback Greg Knox with 3. Apparently Deshaun Slaughter is tied for second with 2. In simulation, for whatever reason, Cooper Kupp always puts up insane numbers, but the Rams are never really that good. I don't know why that happens, but Cooper Kupp gets 151 receptions for 2,100 yards and 17 touchdowns. All of those lead the league. He apparently just had another insane year. Chris Godwin with 1,700 yards, Stephon Diggs with 1,540. Who else got a lot of touchdowns? Tyler Boyd got 16, Bryan Edwards got 15, Amon-Ra St. Brown got 14. Jerome Baker led the league in tackles in Miami with 160. Leighton Vander Esch with 151 is second, and then we get Trent Woodard down here at 150. I'm really curious to see if we led the league in sacks, but we'll check that in a second. Who got the most picks in the league? That is going to go to Tre'Davious White with 9. Sauce Gardner got 7. Darius Slay in Indianapolis got 7. And in sacks, that goes to Kevin Donald with 21.5. So hopefully he wins Defensive Player of the Year. Eddie Pinheiro leads the league in field goals attempted and field goals made. Let's see if he was the most accurate kicker here. Evan McPherson went 15 for 15, but if anyone goes over 20, Eddie Pinheiro was the most accurate. I wanted to come check some season records here and found out that quarterback Greg Giles broke the record for passing yards in a season. Not even the record I came to check though. Cooper Kupp breaks the record for most receiving yards in a season, becoming the first player to break 2,000 yards, and he did that by getting 2,100. And then also catches. He got 151, becoming the first player to hit that mark as well. From here though, we will go round by round and figure out who is playing in this year's Super Bowl. Starting on the AFC side, the Bills have beaten the Jets 23-20, the Patriots defeat the Colts 20-14, and the Bengals defeat the Broncos 24-6. On the NFC side, the Seahawks take out the Eagles 27-17, the 49ers beat Washington 31-23, and Chicago beats Arizona 17-7. Now in the next round, the Chiefs beat the Patriots 24-17, the Bengals beat the Bills 31-10. So the AFC Championship is Kansas City against Cincinnati, and on the NFC side, Atlanta wins their game against San Francisco 31-28, and the Bears take out the Seahawks 23-17. So the NFC Championship is Atlanta against Chicago. Your Super Bowl in Season 2 will be between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Atlanta Falcons. But now we can check out the Pro Bowl roster to see if any of our guys made that. Obviously, our quarterback is not going to be here, so let's continue scrolling down. Taylor Heineke made the Pro Bowl as a 69 overall quarterback. That's kind of impressive. Our running backs don't make it. What about our fullback? We don't have one. Don't know why I'm checking there. Wide receiver, any of our guys make that one? Does not look like it. What about tight end? No, none of them either. Offensive line, I don't believe any of them are going to make it. I don't think any of them are really good enough to make it here, so we'll just scroll past them. Kevin Donald makes that defensive end, not really a shock there. Scrolling farther down, we'll see if anyone else made it, and I'm not seeing anyone. So no, it looks like that is going to be it for us. Kevin Donald made it, and that's going to be the only one. Actually, Eddie Pinheiro makes it, so that's good for us, and no one else. It is now time to check out the season awards, and we'll start with the MVP, which goes to Patrick Mahomes. Dak Prescott got second, AJ Hillman, a rookie quarterback, got third, Lamar Jackson, who's in the Super Bowl with Atlanta, got fourth, Joe Burrow is in the Super Bowl with Cincinnati, got fifth, Jimmy Garoppolo got sixth, Jalen Hurts got seventh, Kirk Cousins got eighth, and this makes me want to vomit. Jalen Hurts as quarterback of the Giants and Kirk Cousins as quarterback of the Eagles. That physically makes me ill. Josh Allen got 9th, and then Tua got 10th in LA. Coach of the Year goes to Garrett Pratt in Atlanta. Robert Saleh got 2nd, Doug Peterson got 3rd, and are we even on this list? Probably nowhere close to it. Now moving on to the other awards, first we will look through the NFC side. Cooper Kupp wins Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Nick Bosa in Chicago. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Greg Ford for the Cardinals. Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Juan Calhoun for the Vikings. Best quarterback goes to Lamar Jackson. Best running back goes to Saquon Barkley. Best receiver goes to Cooper Kupp. Best offensive lineman goes to Chris Lindstrom in Atlanta. Best D lineman goes to Nick Bosa. Best linebacker goes to Josh Allen in Seattle. Best defensive back goes to Tariq Woolen in Seattle. And best kicker goes to Brett Maher. Now it's time to look through the AFC awards. We start with Offensive Player of the Year, which goes to Josh Jacobs. I don't think any of our guys are going to be on this list, and they are not. Defensive Player of the Year does go to defensive end Kevin Donald. Did any other of our players make it? No, they did not, but at least we got the winner. That is the key part. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think we only had one rookie starting on offense that wasn't an offensive lineman, and that was George Carson. He gets 3rd, but the quarterback in Denver wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year does go to Darrell Nix. Did we have any other rookies starting on defense even? I don't believe so, but no one else is here, even if they did. And then best quarterback goes to Patrick Mahomes. I know our guy's not going to be here at all, and he's not. Don't even know why I felt the need to check that one. Best running back goes to Josh Jacobs. Did our guy at least make this list? Yes, Antonio Gibson ends up 8th on that list. Best wide receiver, Christian Kirk wins that. Did any of our guys make this list? No, they did not. I don't think any of them really had any top numbers there. Best O-line goes to Trey Smith in Kansas City. Any of our guys make this list? Absolutely not. Best D-line does go to Kevin Donald. Anyone else for us? No, but Kevin Donald is the winner of that award as well. Best linebacker goes to Khalil Mack. Did Darrell Nix at least make this list? No, he did not. Neither did Trent Woodard, even though he was 3rd in the league in tackling. Best defensive back goes to Tre'Davious White. I don't think any of our guys had the numbers to get on this list, and they did not. And then finally, best kicker goes to Evan McPherson. Does not, well, okay, Eddie Pinheiro doesn't even get 2nd. He gets 3rd. Thanks to winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, Darrell Nix does get an upgrade point. He gets +1 to awareness, 2 to tackle, and 1 to zone coverage. Kevin Donald, however, because he won Defensive Player of the Year and Best D Lineman, has 3 upgrade points here. We're going to use them all on Run Stopper just to get him as high as an overall as possible here. So let's see what the first point will actually give us. Gives us 4 upgrade boosts, +2 to block shedding, 1 to finesse, 1 to play wreck, and 1 to pursuit. We're going to go right back to Run Stopper like I just said, and we'll get a few more boosts here. 2 to awareness, 1 to hit power, 2 to play wreck, 1 to power move, 1 to speed, and 1 to strength. And then the final upgrade point. Let's see what we get here. 4 more upgrade boosts. He gets +1 to awareness, 2 to block shedding, 1 to hit power, and 1 to tackle. The Atlanta Falcons, led by quarterback Lamar Jackson, have won the Super Bowl 28-24. The NFL MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes. Coach of the Year goes to Garrett Pratt. We already knew those two. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Cooper Kupp. Defensive Player of the Year does go to Kevin Donald. And these awards are different because they're actual overall for the league. I don't know if you get any bonus XP for winning these or not, but whatever. Offensive Rookie of the Year is quarterback A.J. Hillman for the Broncos, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is Daryl Nix, our outside linebacker. I was apparently incorrect earlier. We have the 8th pick in the draft. This is not the final mock draft, but as of right now, Keyshawn Gaither is expected to go number 2 to Miami. And down here at pick number 8, we are expected to take defensive end Bobby Pemberton, but I'm really still considering trading up, but I'm not going to do it till after free agency. That way we don't lose any of the free agents that want a QB with a franchise quarterback player tag, because that is very important to some free agents. As we get ready for free agency, we are in the re-signing period here. We have $207 million in cap space, and honestly, I'm not going to re-sign any of these guys right now. Some of them may come back after the offseason or things like that, but for right now, all of these guys are going to get to test free agency. In the last offseason, I imposed a rule that I didn't think any of the top free agents would want to come here. We had just gone 1-16, so we weren't a very good team, and I didn't want to bring in a bunch of highly rated players immediately to try to rebuild this team. Well, with going from 1-16 to 7-10, I think we are a lot better team, so I'm not going to require them to be a full interest bar or a mostly full interest bar or anything like that. We're going to bring in players that want to come here, so if they have no interest in signing, I'm probably not going to go after them. But if they have a little bit of interest, I'm more likely to go after them this season than I was last season. Here is the team as we head into free agency right now. I'm looking to upgrade the offensive line possibly a little bit. One thing I noticed though is wide receiver Deshaun Slaughter is now down to a normal dev trait. That really sucks for us. He was developing pretty nicely. I believe he was a 6th round pick, so even at a 78 overall right now, I still feel like he's a pretty solid receiver. On the defensive side, the main thing I'm looking to upgrade is going to be the defensive line. Obviously, I let Jordan Phillips and Neville Gallimore both leave, so we need a lot of help along the defensive line. I also let Rasheem Green walk, so we need a new defensive end. And Daryl Nix was a superstar dev trait. What happened here? Let me go over to his progression history. Development trait decreased down to star dev trait for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, I'm not okay with Madden doing that. I don't know why it does it. He earned a superstar dev trait. He was the defensive rookie of the year. We're going to go over and go ahead and make him a superstar dev trait again. And I'm doing this so you guys can see that's the only thing I'm changing. So we save changes. He becomes a superstar dev trait, and we're going to go ahead and keep it at that for right now. Let's take a look at the top free agents in this class right now. Aaron Jones has a lot of interest in coming here because of that team has a franchise quarterback player tag. But we're obviously not going to go after Aaron Jones. I think Antonio Gibson is just fine. There's a solid defensive end, right guard Trey Smith, outside linebacker J.O.K. I don't know how to say his name. I'm not going to intentionally butcher it. Kadarius Toney is here, Juju Smith-Schuster, Asante Samuel Jr., Taylor Decker. Michael Thomas has some interest in coming to Oklahoma City. That could be interesting. Hunter Renfrow, Elijah Mitchell, Shaquille Griffin, Jake Elliott. We don't need a new kicker. Eddie Pinheiro is fine. Let me go through here and try to get some help to this team. I decided to amend my own rule just a little bit, but I'll go over that here in just a second. We have offered 5 contracts here at the start of free agency. Right guard Trey Smith, wide receiver Michael Thomas, defensive tackle Javon Hargrave, who has no interest, and the reason I've amended the rule is because he had no offers yet. So if they have no interest but no offers, I will try to get them, especially if it's a position of need. Defensive back Isaiah Rodgers and defensive back Desmond King. Let's see if any of these guys are going to take this contract. Advancing to the next stage, everyone is gone here. We land Javon Hargrave, Isaiah Rodgers, and Desmond King. We don't land Trey Smith though, and now Michael Thomas has more interest from other teams. I have upped the offer for wide receiver Michael Thomas. We are one of his top offers now. I feel like we still may lose him to Chicago though. And then we also have defensive end Yannick Ngakoue here. So let's advance to the next part and see if any of them sign. They are both gone. We land Michael Thomas and Yannick Ngakoue. So we have 5 free agents here, and I'm going to see if there's anyone else that I want to bring in. I've offered 2 more contracts now. Left tackle Garrett Bowles and defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. Let's see if either one of these guys are going to sign. Not in this stage. Let me jump to the next week and see if they're going to sign then. They now both have offers that they're actually interested in, so I don't think we'll be able to win these guys. So let me see if there's anyone else I can add. We are now going to go after left tackle Charles Leno Jr. and defensive tackle Derek Nottie. Let's see if any of these guys want to sign, and one is gone. Do we land Charles Leno? Yes, we do. Derek Nottie is still waiting though. We'll jump to the next stage, see if he signs his contract, and he is now gone, and he is now also a member of the Oklahoma City Bison. So this will probably be my entire free agency class for right now. Obviously, I will sign more people after the draft. It has now been done. We trade quarterback Greg Knox and our 8th overall pick and a 3rd round pick to the Baltimore Ravens for the #1 pick in the draft. We get to select quarterback Keyshawn Gaither, and they get their franchise quarterback now. I think Knox will do well in another place. I still think he can develop into a really good quarterback, just not here. One draft story that we have is that Keyshawn Gaither was named the nation's best quarterback. He did not win the Heisman though. That went to Appalachian State's quarterback Max Harris. Let's see where all of the top free agents went. Aaron Jones is now a New Orleans Saint. Greg Russo, I'm not real sure how to say his name, is a Minnesota Viking. Trey Smith is now a member of the Buccaneers. JOK is headed to Washington. Kadarius Toney is a Cardinal. Juju is a Giant. Asante Samuel Jr. is a Falcon. Taylor Decker is a Patriot. We got Michael Thomas. Hunter Renfrow is a Bear, and Elijah Mitchell is a Ram. We are now here at the NFL draft, where we obviously hold the #1 pick, and let's go take a look at quarterback Keyshawn Gaither. On the left side of the screen, you can see his player traits. He abandons the initial reads in favor of the check down, so hopefully he won't be forcing it downfield into coverage as much. Does have a beautiful spiral on all of his passes. Gets rid of the ball. The first sign of pressure is really the only bad trait I see. He does well to avoid sacks by throwing the ball away. Loves to run and play outside of structure, and elongated motion with a quick release. So this is a scrambling quarterback. He will be able to get out of the pocket and make plays, hopefully. And let's see how fast he was. He ran a 4.41 at the combine and a 4.4 at his pro day. His speed is listed as elite according to Madden 23. He has A awareness, A carrying, A juke move, A medium accuracy, B deep accuracy, B short accuracy, B play action, B throw on the run, and B under pressure. He does have F stiff arm. I'm not expecting him to stiff arm anybody though. And he was the strongest quarterback in the class with 19 bench reps. So hopefully he has a really good arm. A cannon of an arm is really what I'm hoping for. But with the #1 pick, the Oklahoma City Bison welcome their new franchise quarterback, Keyshawn Gaither, who is a hidden depth trait. Only 90 throw power, a little bit concerning, but I think he's going to be fine. Let's see how the rest of the top 10 is going to play out. The #2 pick goes to Miami, and they will take left tackle Lance Newkirk out of UCF. The 3rd pick, New Orleans Saints take defensive back Malik Clifford out of North Dakota State. With the 4th pick, the Buccaneers take right tackle Randy Henry out of Oklahoma. With pick 5, the Chargers take defensive end Avery Smith out of Texas Tech. With pick 6, the Browns are going to take defensive end Daniel Fernandez out of Oklahoma. With pick 7, the Titans take right tackle Dorian Blaylock out of Texas. With our pick at pick 8, the Baltimore Ravens are going to take defensive tackle Joseph Barden out of Virginia Tech. And with pick 9, the Packers are going to take defensive back Andrew Stackhouse. And with the 10th pick in the draft, the Detroit Lions will take defensive end Chris Lucas out of Washington. With the 8th pick here in the 2nd round now, I'm going to take safety Amir Brinkley out of Texas. He comes in with A awareness, A man coverage, B catching. His zone coverage isn't great, but he is one of the fastest safeties in the class. So we're going to go ahead and use the 8th pick in the 2nd round on him, and he will come in as a normal depth trait. That honestly surprises me with A awareness. With our 2nd pick here in the 2nd round, I'm going to take center Brian Felez out of Washington. A awareness, A impact blocking, A run block, and B pass block. Was the strongest center, and aside from that had a fantastic combine. We're going to take him, and he will be a hidden depth trait. Jumping now to the 3rd round, where we have the 2nd pick. We're going to trade it to Philadelphia for a 2nd round pick next year and a 6th round pick this season. I know I already took a center earlier this draft, but this was the other one I was considering taking in the 2nd round. He's still here at pick 8 in the 3rd round. A awareness, A impact block, A run block. We can move him over to guard, so we're going to take center Jabari Booth out of West Virginia, and he will also be a hidden depth trait. In the 4th round here now with pick 8, I'm going to take defensive end Trayon Kerr out of Syracuse. He has C block shedding, C tackle, B awareness, C play rec. Let's check out his combine. He was one of the fastest defensive ends at the actual combine. Seems to have pretty solid speed, not great agility, but we're going to take Trayon Kerr and see if he can develop into anything, and he will be a normal depth trait. Now with the 8th pick of the 5th round, we're going to take defensive tackle Gilbert Stoutmeyer out of Penn State. Doesn't have great block shedding, but does have good power move and decent tackle. He's also one of the strongest defensive tackles in the class, so we're going to go ahead and take him. He will be a normal dev trait as well. We actually have 2 picks here in the 6th round thanks to the trade with Philadelphia earlier in the draft. And with the first one, I'm going to take defensive end Jaden Calhoun out of SMU. Not great block shedding or power move, but does have decent finesse move and tackle. He's pretty average when it comes to like the combine. He was one of the fastest defensive ends at the combine. And then he has C awareness and B play rec. We're going to go ahead and take Jaden Calhoun, and he will have a normal dev trait. Later on in the 6th round, we have the 19th pick, and I'm going to take outside linebacker Sidney Terrell. He was projected to go in the first 4 rounds. Has B awareness, D block shedding, which isn't great, B man coverage, D play rec, also not great, C pursuit, and A zone coverage. I'm assuming his tackle has to be like really bad. It's C to F, so we're going to take the risk on him here. He's pretty athletic. I don't expect him to start right away anyway, but we're going to take outside linebacker Sidney Terrell, and he will also come in with a normal dev trait. I don't know how good this guy's going to be, but in the 7th round with pick 8, I'm looking at wide receiver Malik Conley out of Akron. He has C catching and C deep route, but he was the fastest receiver in the class, elite level speed. We're going to go ahead and bring him in to see if he can make the team. He does have a normal dev trait. We have one more 7th round pick, and I don't expect this guy to really be good at all, but with the 12th pick in the 7th round, we're going to take outside linebacker Jason Studebaker out of Kansas State, and he will come in as a normal dev trait. Number 1 overall pick, quarterback Keyshawn Gaither, comes in as a 74 overall. Right now, -1 to his morale, so some of his ratings are going to look a little different. He comes in with 90 throw power, 78 deep accuracy, 81 medium, 79 short, and 77 awareness, 84 throw on the run, 76 play action, 73 under pressure, and 77 break sack. Let's see what his speed rating is though. It is a 93, so hopefully we can actually make the offense work a lot better with him under center. Moving on to the rest of the draft class, Amir Brinkley comes in as a 76 overall. It sucks that he's not a hidden dev trait, but still I feel like it's a solid player. And then we got a 74 overall center in Brian Felix and a 73 overall center in Jabari Booth. Like I said, most likely someone will play guard here. Then we got a 69 overall left end, a 66 overall defensive tackle, a 67 overall right end, a 61 overall outside linebacker, a 70 overall receiver in the 7th round with Malik Conley, and then a 59 overall outside linebacker. Yeah, he's probably not going to make the team. The best player in the draft was defensive back Malik Clifford that the Saints took with the 3rd overall pick. John Porter, I actually looked at taking him, but I didn't feel like we needed a receiver that early. Comes in as a 77 overall with 98 speed going to the Chargers. Let's take a look and see how the rest of our division drafted. The Colts got a 72 overall receiver, a 71 overall left tackle, a 72 overall left guard, a 66 overall defensive tackle, a 67 guard, a 70 wide receiver, and a 63 overall quarterback. The Jaguars took a 75 overall corner, a 75 overall tight end, a 71 overall right guard, a 66 overall left guard, a 63 overall defensive tackle, a 69 overall corner, and a 64 overall left tackle. And the Titans took a 72 overall right tackle, a 74 overall receiver in the 2nd round, a 74 overall running back, a 68 overall right end, a 70 overall corner in the 5th round. That is incredibly good. A 67 overall outside linebacker, and a 66 overall middle linebacker. That will wrap up this offseason video though. In the next video, we will take on the entire preseason, and for the first time ever, we will see quarterback Keyshawn Gaither take the field. Obviously, between recordings, I will be signing guys to the team and making some number changes and stuff like that. So you guys will get to see all of that in the next episode. I'll go over everyone that I signed, but hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you next time.